Sisters, brothers, siblings in the Episcopal Church in Northern Indiana, grace and peace be with you in Jesus, the risen Christ. Hello, friends. Greetings from the Lambeth Conference. I have the joy of being able to introduce another bishop that I have the privilege of serving with in the communion. Bishop Andrew, tell us a bit about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, no, I will do. So, greetings. I am from the Scottish Episcopal Church, so closely related to you in America. Always great to say hi. I'm based in the Diocese of Brechin, which we deliberately make hard to pronounce just to mess with people's heads. But we're based in Dundee in the northeast of Scotland, quite close to Aberdeen, where Samuel Seabury was first consecrated. So really good to meet our sisters and brothers in North Indiana.
And today we have the responsibility of reflecting on two of the Lambeth Calls. One is on reconciliation, the next is on human dignity. And I wonder, from your particular perspective, what's your sense of where we arrived at this afternoon in terms of addressing the call on reconciliation?
Yeah, no, Doug, it's big issues in the room, enormous issues. And with reconciliation, I was conscious at my table. I had a colleague from the Episcopal Church, a colleague from the Anglican Church in Canada, we have a colleague from Southern Africa. There's a lot of live issues to do with racial issues as they are today, to do with Indigenous peoples and how they've been treated in different countries. Coming from Scotland, our history is part of the British Empire, and we were very much part of the sort of colonial legacy, which I think we're getting pretty close to repenting of that today and naming it for what it is and saying we were going to do the sort of work that was needed to ensure that past was not driving the present of the Anglican churches. So I know in our own church there's a lot of money that came from the transatlantic slave trade. There's so much of that in the United Kingdom and England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland, and I know we're naming that. So as part of the reconciliation is naming it, accepting that as part of our past, seeing what can be done to deal with the legacy of that today. But I loved the emphasis on peace building. There's putting our own house in order in terms of our history, and there's peace building within our churches. We're about to talk about the human dignity call, which is a lot to do with LGBT plus inclusion, and there's stress within our church, but peace building for the wider community. Where's the brokenness? What is God doing out there, and how can we join in peace building?
And you made mention that in the Diocese of Brechin,
I said we mess with your head.
that there's some wonderful folks who have been trained in peace building, that you're taking that initiative yourself.
Yep. No, we are. When I came in as the bishop, every diocese is the same. We had issues, difficulties, things we were navigating with. So we have I love the name of the charity. They're called Place for Hope. Wherever you meet becomes a place for hope, where you name the difficulties, you hold it in prayer, and then you work through it, mediation and empathy with where others are coming from, navigating through to a way peace can be built within our churches. And my hope is that spills out from the churches.
One of the lessons I've learned as a bishop, now in my 6th or 7th year, is how important it is for me in my office as the bishop to be able to have the capacities to sit and listen to someone who's been harmed, and on behalf of the church to say, I'm sorry. And that has been such a transforming experience. People who've been hurt, in tears, crying and saying, what's the church going to do? And then to be able to have the capacity to say, I am sorry this happened to you. I am very sorry. And that's a step toward reconciliation, right? And that kind of healing, which is really only possible through the grace of God.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
There's no other way forward for us except working together, relying on God's grace. Thank you for this time in the midst of a busy afternoon.
Oh, no, not
I am
at all,
so
Doug.
grateful, Andrew. Friends, thank you for taking the time to listen. Continue to uphold us in prayer during these days. Grace and peace.